Hey, we back at it again. I was just barely checking to see when the last podcast
It
was.
was a minute ago.
It was July 27th, and today is October 8th, 7th.
7th.
And the last one too was the one where I forgot my microphone.
Yeah.
Well, we got a microphone. Hey,
Hey. And
hey.
I think we're done apologizing for our inconsistencies.
Yeah, fuck it,
I think it's just part of the game, Can't always
for
be
sure.
consistent.
Hey, we're just showing up, and it's gonna evolve over time.
Yeah.
That's the move is to just like keep trying. You can't hate someone for trying.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I was thinking about our podcast too because like when I think of like the podcast that I listen to, I'll have different podcasts for different moods that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not always trying to learn something, and I'm not always trying to listen to a casual conversation.
Yeah.
Like if I want to like listen to something like really heavy, like a Lex Friedman podcast, where he'll bring on like I don't know, someone that's like a computer scientist or
Yeah.
whatever that's gonna say a bunch of terms I don't know, or like something that's like more chill. And with our podcast, I feel like you'll learn something like here and there, but it's more so like casual listening or like entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're not trying to necessarily educate y'all on one specific subject or specific niche. Like this ain't starting a clothing line with Mike and Truman, where
Yeah.
all we
Yeah.
talk about,
Mm-hmm.
it's more of just like another perspective into like our world of like things that we're working on.
Right.
But that's probably a good place to start is what we've been working on. Like creating content, TikToks, whatever. Um, Maybe true. You can. What was something that you've been working on lately?
So I've been working on my TikTok game. And
A
it's really interesting because I was also listening to some of our older episodes, and the one of them that I just happened to listen to, like I was talking to you about, like it, if bless you, if
Thanks.
like if I had a personal brand, what would I want it to be about? And like I was talking about some of like the struggles that I was facing with like picking a specific niche, kind of what you were just talking about. Because
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't want to be the type of person that's just like how to be a videographer, or like, just doing like videography tips or photography tips or even business tips. Because like I have my hands in so many different things, so many different interests, and to put myself in a box and say that like I'm a videographer or I am a entrepreneur it's like I can't really do any of those things forever. But I can kind of talk about all of those things. And I was talking about in that episode I was listening to, I was talking about how I would like to be like a combination of like Matt D'Avella and like uh kind of like a combination of I forget what that other guy's name is that makes the YouTube videos similar to Matt D'Avella. But
Nathaniel Drew.
yeah, him, and like probably a little bit of like Lex Friedman in there and all that stuff. Just like combined all of it together.
Yeah.
And I was like talking about how I wanted to make TikToks and stuff. But that was like back in like May that episode was, and I really didn't give any thought to it until recently. And to be honest, it wasn't even like some grand scheme where I was like, I'm going to roll this thing out. I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to do it like this. Like, it was just like, it just kind of like hit me one day that like TikTok is like wide open. Anyone can, like, we have our phones with us all the time. There's no reason why I can't be making some kind of content on it. And so I started out by just like filming it on my phone, like just whatever. And that was like my first one that I posted, and it got like 1,000 views or something. And like, I thought that was really good. But then I was like, I have like my camera here, like my like $4,000 camera. Like when I bought it, I have a good lens. I have the ability to edit my own videos and stuff. Like I should try my absolute best on just one and see what happens, you know? Because I was like doing it kind of like low effort way of using my phone. Like that's really easy to produce a lot of them, but I was like, let me just see what happens if I like put the amount of effort that I would into like a client's project or like something like that. Like let me just make this like super sick as if someone's paying me to do it and like put some intention behind it, you know? And
That's really like that's something that I've thought about too of like putting the energy that we put into client projects but into our own brands. You
yeah.
know, like treating ourselves like the client because like it's kind of crazy the last like couple of years we've put in like so many like man hours into different projects that people who follow us won't even see those videos
Uh-huh.
because they come out through like our clients brands and stuff, but now we're on this new wave where like that same level of effort and quality that we've been like learning about and training for, we're putting it into our own stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's even like better quality, you know. It's like,
Uh-huh.
why would I not you know, make my own videos as best as possible, you know? Like you just got to give it your best shot when you're doing it, and then that's really all that you can do.
Mhm. Yeah, and it feels so much more fulfilling when you're working on your own brand. Um Especially like the type of feedback that you get from people that are watching it because like when you when we were doing client projects a lot of the time it was like we do it and like the type of feedback or the type of like reward we get from it is typically like what we got paid for it and that's about it, you know.
Uh-huh.
There's not really anything else involved with it, but like with this it's like I get so much more enjoyment and fulfillment coming from the people that are watching it and leaving comments. And like there's like people it sounds so cliche when I say it, but it's like there's people that are commenting like this is changing my life or like keep making videos and stuff, and like that just like really like gives you that extra motivation when people like really actually enjoy what you're doing. Because like there's days still, you know, like obviously where I'm like I don't want to make another TikTok, like I'm so like I just want to sit on the couch and watch TV, you know. Like I'm
Mhm.
human. We all don't always want to be making the content and do what, like I'm sure that you there's some days where you don't want to make music, you know, but you want to like you still want to progress. But like that when you don't want to do it, you can lean on those people that like really value what you're doing and you can just be like, all right, I'm gonna do it for them today, you know. If I can't do it for me, I'm gonna do it for my viewers, you know. And that's something
That
that
also here, go ahead, finish your
it's
thought.
that's just something that I never felt when doing client projects because
Yeah.
it's never like rewarding in that sense. It's rewarding in the sense of, oh, I put more money in my bank account. That's always good. But like I'm now tasting what it can feel like to do both of those things where I can make content for my personal brand and our personal brands, but also get paid through sponsorships and all this stuff.
It kind of that makes me think of like you know, like the whole topic of like if our brand was just like all about, you know, one thing versus like how our brands are like a combination of a bunch of different things, it makes it so that, you know, like sometimes I'm not in the mood to edit a video or I'm not in the mood to work on a song or I'm not in the mood to do a podcast or whatever. But it's like when I'm not in the mood to make a song, then we can do a podcast. And when I'm not in the mood to do a podcast, I can work on a video. And
Yeah.
like because otherwise if you don't have those if it was only the podcast, if I wasn't in the mood to do a podcast, then we would just be like I don't know, watching Netflix or like watching TikTok or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like having like multiple things to like balance it between and jump between, it like makes us like way more productive.
Uh-huh. It's
Like
it's a
there's like so many different verticals.
Yeah, it's like you're it's like you really love sushi, but like you don't want to eat sushi every day, you know.
Uh-uh.
You want to mix
Yeah.
it up. You want to have some strawberries and cream over here. You want to have some hamburgers, but like you can't just do one thing all the time and never get burnt out from it, you know.
And it's like it's cool to be able to give this to like are consumers because, you know, you're not always in the mood to listen to music. You know, you might want to listen to a podcast instead.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might not want to listen to a podcast, you might want to watch a YouTube video. Or you might not watch a YouTube video, but you might want to watch a TikTok. And like that's why I think it's so important to do all these different things, because it just kind of gives uh so many options.
Mm-hmm. But that's my side of the stuff I've been working on. So let's hear what you've been up to.
That I've been the Mike's Matrix has been evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Uh the thing that I love about Mike's Matrix as like a brand is like it just started out as an idea for my Instagram to like change my handle.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want my handle just to be Mike Ritchie anymore. Let me try that. I don't even know necessarily where the idea came from. I just like it came and then I ran with it, and I was like, you know, it's like creative, it's fun, it's kind of a little bit more like uh philosophical,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, you know, like where the topics are not just in like one world, but also the way that I look at Mike's Matrix now is it's like a multimedia digital universe is kind of what I call it, or that's like what my bio says. Meaning like I want a bunch of different types of content, from music to YouTube videos to even like animated series in the future, or you know, whatever there is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I released the first Mike's Matrix Volume 1 music project through Apple Shift Q, is like the brand name for the music. But then I also launched the Mike's Matrix Worldwide travel YouTube series, which is like you know, travel videos.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people who don't make videos don't really know how much of a dick suck it is to edit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have all this different footage on my hard drives from like a bunch of different trips. Like when we went to Korea and Japan, we filmed the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy to just film a bunch.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, when you got all this footage, it's hard to like make sense of it
Right.
and like find like ways to edit it.
Like a story.
Um, so that's kind of, I was like, let me create a travel series for all this different travel content from like Hawaii or New York or whatever, and kind of put it into one series so that in the future, when we travel more, it's like the series is like an outlet for those travel videos.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have like a couple different series on my YouTube channel. Like my vlog is a different series that's just different types of videos. And so I think I have 3 episodes out, or maybe 4. Um, the first one was Japan. The second one was Idaho, I think. And the third one was Japan Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to just do all the Japan at once. I'm kind of like spreading it throughout the series.
Yeah.
And in the future, like I would love to be able to like, I mean, I know that I love to travel. I love to eat food. I love to make music, and I want the series to be kind of a combination of all those things, where like it uses the music from like the music that I make in the series,
Right.
but then also it's just kind of capturing, you know, what life is like when we're out on the road traveling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to get this first season out, which is just like the videos that I've already shot, and I'm just editing them and creating the story. But doing a season 2 of that, it'd be really cool to, like, once I already have something to show, being able to, you know, get brands involved or sponsors, and, you know, seeing how the series evolves. Like, that's one of the things I love about creating, is seeing things evolve over time. Like even with music, Like if you were to wait for your music to be perfect for you to drop it, uh, you're gonna be waiting forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like people want to see the growth. Like people want to see be a part of the journey. Like if you're waiting forever, then you're like depriving your audience of being able to come on that journey. And
Mm-hmm.
like like with the artist like Tyler the Creator, like his early music versus his new music, there's a huge difference. Like even from every album, there's so much change, and that's kind of what makes it like it just makes it. I feel like it like helps with building your relationship with that artist because you're feeling like you're going through these different phases with them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, I love Drake. I like Drake's music, but a lot of people that I've talked to that don't like Drake, they don't like him because they think it just all sounds the same. And it's because he's been in the game for so long and he's at this point now where he's at the top, he knows what works and he just has to keep on doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the beauty of being like a new artist is that you can show you can people can hear the growth, like I want
Yeah.
people to be able to like listen to my first song Coexist and my most recent song and be like, whoa, he's trying new things. Like
Yeah.
even if it doesn't necessarily sound amazing or whatever, it's just like about taking risks and trying it.
Mm-hmm. I like how like with Drake, because I've been a fan of his since 2010, and like you, and I'm sure that you experienced this with Tyler as well. It's like when you can listen to like one of their new projects and like hear something so minuscule like a synth, and you're like, oh, that sounds exactly like what he did back on the Take Care album, or like
Mm,
that sounds what he did on Flower Boy and that one part,
yeah.
like you. But if you're just a new listener, that just doesn't have any memory for you. Like
Uh-uh.
you don't have anything to base that on, and so you're just hearing it as it is, but you don't understand that he's been building pieces and pieces to arrive at that point.
Yeah. And it's also like with Tyler, it's cool hearing his original artistic vision and his early music of like, what he was trying to achieve and then hearing him actually achieve it in like Flower Boy and Call Me When You Get Lost and Igor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like a lot of like the sounds that he uses, like what you're saying with Drake, when when Tyler was an early artist, he didn't necessarily have the means to perfectly execute how he heard it in his head. But as time goes by and he like learns and tries new things, like he has a lot of consistent sounds that he uses, and I think that's just so cool hearing someone's vision come to life, like
Mm-hmm.
something that was just like in their head or just like an idea that they had, and like you have to work for it too. Like you're not gonna always get it on the first try. Like even with like making TikToks, you had an idea in your head of what your personal brand would look like
Yeah.
before you made it,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to start. And your first one, it didn't go viral or
Yeah.
anything, but then you gave it more effort, and then now you've kind of found this lane that like is really unique.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that comment on your TikToks are just like pointing out like how unique it is compared to other types of content. And even in terms of like the subject matter, a lot of TikTok can be just like stupid humor or like whatever, but you're bringing in the side of TikTok that's like TikTok is a video platform of all sorts of types of content.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like an app for kids to dance on.
Right.
Like, and I think that's why a lot of people are turned off to TikTok at first because of like the early concept of what TikTok was. But TikTok today is a totally different company. Like, it's a full on video platform, just like YouTube.
Yeah. No, I literally see it like YouTube, but for mobile. I mean, YouTube is mobile, but it just doesn't have the same like organic reach. And so, but I'm treating it the same way I would a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And like the production quality and like just like the different things that I'm saying, and like trying to build something around it. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
um trying to just go viral on like one video. It's more so like a long-term strategy.
Bro, technology evolving is so fucking crazy because like the way that YouTube was a game changer for the internet is it's like a search platform or a search engine for videos.
Hmm.
And it's like if you don't want to read articles or anything, you can watch videos on YouTube. But with TikTok, you don't even have to look for it. It it finds the
Finds
content for
you.
you. You know,
Yeah.
you don't even have to search. All you have to do is just open up your For You page, and everybody's For You page is totally different
Yeah.
because it's like tailored. Like it's so funny. Like I'll see TikToks of people that are like I saw this one TikTok today, and this lady was like, TikTok's algorithm is changing again. You need to post at between this time and the videos have to be from 7 to 11 seconds because TikTok is tailoring towards a older audience. I'm like, bitch, you don't know anything. Like, cause like even like when I see like your TikToks, like I remember one of your first ones that you did, it was like 3 minutes long
Yeah,
or
it was
something.
hella long.
And like I remember thinking like he should maybe do it a little bit shorter. But then I was like, what the fuck do I know? And like, your page still blew up regardless,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it's about finding your specific community. Like
Uh-huh.
it's not like the algorithm tailors towards older people who
Right.
watch short videos. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna find its audience, and if you are putting out the right content for the right people, then they'll engage with it, and like they'll watch a 3-minute video
Yeah, yeah.
or a two
No.
minute video, or like it doesn't need to be, every TikTok has to be 7 seconds.
Uh-huh. What I've learned is that it's mainly about watch time. And so it like that person could be correct when they say it has to be on the shorter side just because it will increase watch time. People are more likely to watch a shorter video than a longer one. But if
Mm-hmm.
your longer video is engaging the whole way through, then that's going to be just as good, you know? And
Yeah.
that's what I try to do with my approach is like, uh, I mean, I didn't know going into it that TikTok has it set up so that watch time is a big thing. I was just going into it with the assumptions that me and you have had for years is like you got to have a engaging hook, you got to keep it engaging, you know. And so like with all my videos I try to not keep the same shot for any longer than a few seconds, and like I try to add some like dramatic pauses and like, you know, cut the music at certain times to like switch it up and get people all like flustered so that they keep engaged. And something else that I was thinking about, I literally like woke up this morning with this thought. So I was like reading that you should like try to get people in your comments section because when people are in your comments section, like reading comments, your video is looping in the background, and so
Yeah.
that will get more and more views. And so like someone said, in order to get people to go into your comments more, develop the reputation of always having funny comments. But I was like, that's one way to do it, but I feel like for my brand that's not really like what I want to go for.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking some way that I could do it is like, let's say I do a book review and it's like, here's the best idea from The Untethered Soul, whatever. uh, I cover one idea, but then right before the video ends, I say, check the comments for my other favorite idea. And like I write like multiple paragraphs in like a pinned comment at the top of like my next favorite idea and how to implement that idea so that
Mm.
people are reading that and the video is looping in the background.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to try
I
that.
I think definitely comments is a big part of it, and people will even be kind of tricky to get you in the comments. Like I don't know if you watched that 60 minutes video about the Facebook whistleblower.
Yeah.
And something that was interesting, like in that interview that she talked about, is that they have research showing that people will stay on the Facebook platform longer if it evokes an emotion, but the specific emotion is like anger. Like if it makes you angry, like angry content will keep people on longer. And I've noticed with certain TikToks, if there's like a mistake in the TikTok or like an error or the person is wrong or they say something controversial, it drives people to the comment section where there will even be top comments that will be like POV, you went to the comment section to see if you weren't the only one
Yeah,
who got
yeah.
pissed or
Uh-huh.
something like that.
Mhm.
And like I don't know, it's interesting. Like I don't think the way to grow long term on TikTok is with little gimmicky tricks,
Yeah,
like I'm
exactly.
sure that'll help one video blow up, but also finding ways to use that in a good way, getting people in the comments. Like I even see people who will just intentionally misspell a word in the top or something like that, and then people will go and correct them. But a comment is a comment, like good or bad. And the more comments, the more it gives people to, the longer they'll spend reading comments, the more
Yeah.
comments there are.
Yeah. I agree though that it's like the gimmicks can only, if you're relying on gimmicks to build your following, then you probably don't have much of a basis like without it, you know?
Yeah. Like I feel like it's hard to build a really solid, long lasting brand because you're not going to see results at first. And like, I mean, that's definitely something that you and I are trying to do. Like, with all the different verticals of content, not just being on TikTok, but also having a podcast and having a YouTube channel and all this stuff. Like, even though right now, we drop a podcast, maybe it'll only get 20 to 50 listens, or I drop a YouTube video and it will only get 20 to 50 views or whatever. In the future, that will be a backlog of content that people can go back to. Like eventually, once we're able to get a little bit more traction, we now have this bank of 40 conversations that people can go back and listen to. And even if like this podcast in this moment, even if it doesn't get a ton of views, maybe by the time we're at episode 200, uh, people are like, whoa, I want to listen to more.
Mhm.
Like with Joe Rogan, like when I first started listening to him, I wouldn't listen to the newest episodes. Like I would just be going back to all the old ones, finding interesting guests or interesting topics. And um I don't even think I ever, like there's so many episodes
Yeah.
that now I'll pay attention to the new ones and maybe watch them here and there depending on who it is. Like the Quentin Tarantino one, you know, as soon as that drops, I'll listen to that one. But there's so much content that he gives you that people that listen to Joe Rogan, they really listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Like his audience, they're like, um, there's a level of trust.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I experienced that because I was like I recently got into hunting, and so I've been watching this show on Netflix called Meat Eater, where it's like a hunting show that Joe Rogan was like guest on a few times over the
Okay.
past few years. And like the host of the show, his name is Steve Ranella, and I was just like curious. I wanted to see if he's ever been on Joe Rogan's podcast. So I searched it on Spotify and like 8 episodes come up from like the past 10 years. And I was like,
Mm.
yes, like I was so thankful that all of that backlog was there because I'm like now listening to all those, you know?
Yeah, it gives more context.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I that makes me excited for some future podcast episodes that we're gonna do. Like, I think one of our next guests coming soon will be Kensington,
Oh, yeah.
and that'll be really cool because if you watch the Mike's Matrix Worldwide series, you'll be able to see, you know, Truman, Kensington, and I in Korea and Japan and stuff. And then you can listen to a conversation of us talking about details of that experience and stuff. And same with just like other friends. Like, it's not even about getting celebrities or big guests on the podcast because, like, what kind of chemistry would we have with them versus bringing on someone like Kensington or 64 Floors or Noah, and we'll have a much better conversation with them. And like what made you so interested in that Joe Rogan podcast was seeing the show and bringing that additional context to Joe and that guy's relationship with each other.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
So something I wanted to bring back while we're here that we haven't done in a minute, but we would do on the podcast is explaining that tweet.
Explain that
Explain that tweet. So let's see. There was one that you did recently. Let's see. Um,
I feel like I'm being put on the spot. Hopefully, I can add some context to it.
this one, it kind of reminds me of one of your TikToks, like the voice in your head one, sort of, but it's kind of, but it says, "Imagine your highest self, then strive to become the guy that makes that guy look embarrassing." That's like think of one step ahead, you know? Like
Yeah,
most people just say like think of your highest self and
yeah,
strive to be that guy.
uh-huh,
But like you're saying who makes that guy look embarrassing?
yeah, bro.
What
My
inspired that?
my what I tweeted that when I was at Vasa. I feel like
Oh yeah.
half of my like savage tweets come from Vasa when I'm
Uh-huh.
like peak pre workout and just
Yeah.
testosterone is flowing through me. And like so yeah, I was just like, because I've had that same thought before as well, as like, what's my highest self, whatever that means to whoever is listening, and like who's the type of guy, like what's the version of myself that's just executing on everything, like takes time off, doesn't get burnt out, doesn't feel guilty about things, just like what multiple different aspects of yourself being the best that you can be, and
Yeah.
like that has always served me. But I was like, I want to like kick it up a notch, and like who's the type of guy that like makes that guy look like weak,
Uh-huh.
embarrassing, like a fool, and so that just pushes you even higher of like, whoa, okay, there's more levels to this, because
Yeah.
it's like, and like I've learned that over the past few months, past year, that there's just like unlimited levels to life in terms of what you can accomplish in your mindset and like your drive. Because like through people like David Goggins and Cameron Haynes, like, and there's like another guy, his name's James Lawrence, that he's actually from Utah, but he did like 100 Ironmans in 100 days. It's like so it's just like
That's
these
nuts.
people out there that are like executing on these crazy levels, and like, so sometimes what you think is your highest self isn't anywhere close to what you think that you can be doing, like, because like I started doing, like, I'm doing 75 hard for the past 60 days or whatever, and like when I started out, it's like, or when I first ever started doing 75 hard, it was like a mile was like a long way for me to run, you know. But like the past, not this past week, but the week before, like before my parents got out here, I was running a 10K every day for like 6 days straight, which is like 6.5 miles every day. And it was easy, you know. But
Yeah.
if I would have stopped at, oh, I think 10, or I think 2 miles a day is my max, I think that 2 miles a day is my highest self. It's like, no, it isn't, like that's just what you think it is in that one particular point. But like, there's so many levels that open up when you expand your imagination and like just remove all your barriers, and like you have to, um, like if I just say, "Oh, I want to run 100 miles," like tomorrow, it's not really going to happen. But like, I have to set that as like a goal first and believe that I can actually eventually get there. Like
Mm.
you have to start there, and then you have to work at it methodically to get there. But like, if you think that like you're capped, if you think you're capped at like 10 miles a week, then you're pretty much going to do that. You're only ever going to amount to your highest version that you think that you can get to, But like, once you undo that, like, then it really becomes like limitless, as cheesy as it sounds. But like, saying that, like, I want to become the type of person that makes my highest self look embarrassing is just like
Yeah.
unlocking so much more for me. It's a different mindset.
I would love to see a TikTok on this topic, to be honest. Like I've like visualizing this idea through, however you were to do it would be really interesting. But this makes me think of Instagram story I saw from a interview on from a Great Scott's Instagram story. TBT to if you want to hear more about Great Scott, we got an episode with him. I can't remember which episode, but the story it was saying like people meet up with you in person to be able to see how they can take advantage of you in like business things. And the person, like a client, for example, there may be $100 million on the table, but they won't tell you that. And you may only ask for 1 million of that 100 million
Yeah.
because your mind, like you only think, and like we've kind of experienced that a little bit with just like, building our business and working with different clients and like finding your value. Like no one's telling us how much we should charge for a video. That price just comes based off of what people are willing to pay. And there's other things that help us figure out what that number is, like how many hours it takes, how many team members are involved, and all this different stuff. But it's crazy how our minds, just as much as they can like excel us forward, they can also hold us back. It's like
100%.
that double-edged sword. And
Hmm.
also like when I was like my whole life growing up, I could never do any pull-ups. Like I mean I never really worked out or anything like that, but like pull-ups was something that just like it's just kind of like a a masculine thing to do, like just like jump up, grab a bar, and just start doing pull-ups,
Hmm. Yeah.
And I could never. I mean, I could maybe do like one chin up, where your hands are going this way,
Oh yeah.
but I
Yeah.
couldn't do like pull ups where your hands are that way. And so like you were saying with setting a goal, I set a goal to just do 10 of them, and like you just start and you keep going. And as I was able to do like one, I was like, oh, I can do one. Let me do two. And I was also doing push ups at the same time with the same type of progression where it
Yeah.
was like, let me just start doing 10 push ups a day. And then I was like, oh, I can do 15, I can do 20, I can do 50, I can do 100. And it was helping with the pull ups. But then next, like I was able to exceed my expectation of how many pull ups I could do. And like we really aren't aware of our capabilities. Like we have all these limiting beliefs or like thoughts about ourselves that are always going to hold us back with like every part of our life,
Yeah.
like I may say, like someone may say you can't drop 3 albums in a year. People only drop an album every 2 years or so. But it's like who's to say?
Yeah.
Like what if I were to drop a album every single month and do 12 albums in a year? Or what if I do an album and a TV show and a podcast all at the same time?
Hmm.
Like, and you really just have to be willing to leave your comfort zone to find those limits. Like people, I feel like, I mean, that's the thing about comfort is it's comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when it's real easy to just like chill in bed and like, eat trash and just watch TV or whatever. But next thing you know, you're going to have a beer belly and you're going to be like it's that concept anti-fragile
Hmm.
where if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um but okay, I want to do another tweet because
Okay.
I like hearing your insight on the tweets. Um let's see. Okay, I like this one. It says it's different when you put an album on front to pack. Hearing a single is spending a night in the artist's universe. Hearing the full album is staying for a week. So when you tweeted this, like what music were you listening to that made you feel like you were like in the artist's world, the artist's
Um,
universe?
Birds in the Trap, Sing Brian McKnight, or
Oh,
is that the album? I always get it messed up.
Something
Uh,
like that.
it's Birds in the Trap sing McKnight. I don't think it's Brian McKnight. Is it? Let me
Brian
look it up.
Donovan McKnight.
Let me look it up real quick. But yeah, I was again at the gym, fiending on some pre workout,
uh,
and it was just like I was listening to that whole album front to back, and because I just love doing that album, and
yeah.
uh, it was just like I just love when an album has like a good intro song that's like 5 minutes long and really like ramps up, and just like
Hmm.
builds a vibe. Like the first
What's
song
the
on
intro? Yeah.
the first song is let me look it up real quick. It is
Someone's screaming it. The ends.
the ends.
Oh,
And
and that's one of my favorite ones on the whole
right.
project.
And like so like you can like on this particular album you can listen to Goosebumps or like uh Pick Up the Phone, like any of those singles you can stumble upon in your shuffle and it'll be a banger. But like you don't understand where that fits into the grand scheme of the album. Like that song hits a little bit differently when it's followed up by First Take, you know, and then it rolls into Pick Up the Phone. Like it's just like
Yeah.
that transition feels better, And so like you can when you're listening to a single just randomly, you can slightly get a taste for what the artist was going for, what they're trying to create. Like how I said, it's like staying a night with them. You get to know someone a little bit by spending a day with them, but you get to see all of their aspects when you spend like multiple days at a time or like a week with them. And so that's what an album is like to me, is like seeing all of their different because it's like when you like if you and me just hung out for like one day and I was in a totally happy mood, you're like, or if someone met me for one day and I was in a totally happy mood, be like, oh, that Truman guy, he's always so happy, because they just saw me that one time. But if they are with me for a week, they'll see all different sides of my emotions. They may see me pissed, sad, happy, whatever. And like that's what makes a human being human, We're not just like one-sided individuals. We're like multi-sided, we have all different aspects to us. And like that's what an album is like. It's like there's highs and lows throughout the whole thing. And if you're just listening to the single, you're only like experiencing a little taste of that. And that can be great, but there's a lot more benefit and fulfillment that you gain when you take the time to really like listen to an album without skipping any part of it.
Yeah. That always like that's something like I think that's made me a super fan of Tyler the Creator is his music. It doesn't really fit into playlists very well. Like I I mean, I'll throw certain songs into playlists and I'll, have them for when I shuffle a playlist. But like my favorite way to listen to Tyler is to just go to an album from start to finish. Like when we were living in Newark, New Jersey, and we were going to the LA Fitness like every day at like, 5:30 or 6:30 with Ragon
Amadou,
um and Amadou and Tad and Mike and like
Roman. Did Roman
and
go with us?
Rohop.
Yeah, Roha.
He would go sometimes, and I would just put on that like album from the start, and by the end of it we would be about done with our workout.
Yeah.
And now like whenever I listen to that project, it kind of like it I like correlate that era of my life with that music. And even now like I'm doing that same thing with Call Me When You Get Lost.
Yeah.
Like I if I'm listening to Tyler, I'm listening to Tyler, and I'll just go to that album and that's all I'm listening to.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of interesting of even like with Igor, I was listening to Igor when we were at Parkway Lofts. And
Yeah.
like when I hear Igor, it makes me think of like pulling out of my parking stall in the parking lot and like, that time frame. And it's just so cool being able to like attach music with memories
Mm-hmm.
and like with like moments. I don't know, that's kind of one of my favorite things about music.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting about the Flower Boy album because I also will think about Nork, but I think about it from my perspective. And so, like, I picture myself driving around the Explorer, and like I look to my right, and you're in the passenger seat with your Jordan ones, like up on the dash.
Uh,
Like
that
that's
that's a
just like
vibe.
that's just like a iconic like it's like burned into my memory of like
Uh,
because there's still it's like I mean we don't have that car anymore, but even when I gave it back to my parents, there's scuff marks all over the place because of just like a year of just like all your Jordan ones just like stacked like
my
lines.
feet up on the
Yeah,
dash.
yeah. But
That's how I
yeah,
feel with the Birds in the Trap album too.
mhm.
Like before moving to Jersey, I remember listening to what's the Travis Scott song with 1975? Is
Don't
it Don't
play.
Play?
Yeah.
I remember like listening to that and it wasn't doing it for me. Like
I know.
I
I
mean
was
I wasn't really a fan of the auto tune and stuff like that. And so I wasn't a fan of Travis Scott. I mean, at that time in my life, I was listening to a lot of just like indie rock type of music and like
yeah.
a little bit of rap and hip hop, like Tyler and Kendrick and stuff. But when we moved out to New Jersey, it put context to the music of like now when we're driving through the city and we're bumping Travis Scott or like in the back of Gerard's Range Rover and he's like we're like driving through the Lincoln Tunnel out of the city back to Jersey at night
Yeah.
and he's like got his hood up and we're like flying down the roads
It adds
and
like some grunge
yeah,
cuz yeah, like certain music just hits different, you know, like listening to like some like grunge like ASAP Rocky or Travis Scott on the beaches of Malibu may not fit as well as driving through Brooklyn at 8 o'clock at night, you know, with the
yeah.
sunset coming down. You know, that hits for me. But like I want to listen to some Japanese house when I'm like in the mountains or something, you know?
Bro, and okay, that kind of leads into another topic that I want to talk about of like a lot of people on the West Coast or at least uh I mean, okay, I don't want to generalize people, but there I know a lot of people who will say like you'll be like what kind of music do you like? And they'll be like anything but country music.
Mhm.
And I used to be that person,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I was in high school like I didn't like any country music or didn't like country music at all. And then, I meet you and you love country music. And I know that you have good taste in music. Like, we like a lot of the same music. And it's that set and setting, like you wouldn't necessarily want to listen, like, you wouldn't think to listen to country music when you're skiing
Yeah. Yeah.
or when you're chilling on the beach or something. But when you're driving around the fields of Lancaster with the windows open and you can smell like
Hmm.
the manure
Yeah.
and like that's like the vibe that country music was made for.
Or
But
when we were leaving Colorado and going into Wyoming,
yeah,
coming back from shooting with Charles Hoskinson, founder of Cardano.
low
Uh,
key flex.
it was that was a vibe too. Like that was just like you could throw on any song and it would hit right there. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. That trip was super dope. We also almost died.
Oh yeah, yeah. Getting there.
I like it's so crazy. Like when people talk about like near death experiences where they actually like almost die, but when you have an experience where you think that you're gonna die or like there's a it like puts your life into perspective a little bit and like it just kind of makes you appreciate life more, like it makes you, forget about the little bullshit, forget
Hmm.
about the time that so and so fucked you over
Yeah,
or it's just like none of that really matters. Like we're all in this crazy experience that, you know, we may or may not have signed up for before coming here, but that we have no idea. Like there like if we're going to talk about like God, for example, um God, if God does exist, he intentionally doesn't show us that he's here physically. You
Mhm.
know, uh like I like to think through different thought patterns. Like I'm not necessarily going to say that there's a god or that there isn't a god, but if we're going to think hypothetically, if there was a god, he could pop up in Times Square and just be like, "What's up, y'all? I'm here.
Yeah.
Believe," you know,
Yeah.
and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, I know for a fact."
Mhm.
And no one would question. But what we do know is that that hasn't happened. And it
Mhm.
kind of contributes to like the concept of like belief and also like faith, like faith outside of a religious context, faith in growing a business. Like, you know, our minds may say, yo, Mike and Truman, y'all can't make $1 million company. Y'all can't make $1 billion company, but we can have faith that we can create $1 million company. And
Yeah.
that faith is what's going to push us to try
Yeah.
and to like face those fears.
Yeah. And like whether or not that is true or false doesn't really matter. We just have to, and we don't like, you just have to believe that like you can at least give it a shot, you know? Like you have to at least believe enough to attempt to do it, you know? You don't have to like cuz I feel like that's another thing that people will get stuck in is like they won't take action until they believe 100% that they can do it. But it's like that's not how it works. Like when you're trying to kickflip a 16 stair, you're just trying to like you think that you can do it. And so you try it, you know? But like you don't know it until you land it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, so that's like, you just have to believe enough to take the action, you know?
Yeah. And I think most people don't even try, you know, like when it
Yeah.
comes to like even like making music, starting a podcast, creating a vlog, like bruh, everything that could go wrong is gonna go wrong. You
Yeah.
know, like you can't avoid that sometimes we're gonna forget a microphone or
Yeah.
sometimes you know, there's gonna be some mic pops or something like that. But you can't know that that's gonna happen until it happens, and then it's about what you do after it happens. You know, like if we have 10 episodes in a row where there's the same problem going on, um, our podcast isn't going to go anywhere. And
Yeah.
if we just keep on doing the same, you know, the same as it has been, it will just stay the same. But
Hmm.
it's not until we try different things, try the Zencaster,
Yeah. Yeah.
and because like honestly, this conversation, there's no like delay between our talking or anything. Like it
Yeah.
feels like the same as if we were like in the same room as
It's
each
honestly
other.
kind of trippy because I'm just like seeing you in this little box, but it's
Yeah.
everything is like real time.
Yeah. Even like with more people on this, I mean, I'm excited about doing podcasts like this because we've known that we've wanted to put video to the podcast.
Yeah.
But the problem is our conversations are going to for sure go for an hour or so.
Yeah.
And if we're filming that on our Sony A7S2s, then there's just so many problems that come up.
Hmm.
But I'm hyped about getting back on the podcast wave
Yeah.
because it's just like one step at a time, you know,
Hmm.
like if you were to go to 17-year-old Joe Rogan and be like, "Yo, you got 2,000 episodes with however many guests, uh go do that." He may be hella intimidated
Right.
and not even think it's possible.
Yeah.
But once he's done it, like it's just about doing it here and there. Like same with making music, it was like just make one song a day or make one song a week or some sort of consistency, and the next thing you know, you're gonna look back and it's done.
Yeah. Dude, sometimes like I feel like the most like the most basic common sense elementary level stuff is like it's now coming back to be to feel like the most genius thing like all the things that we like were taught as kids of like you got to try your best, don't give up, you know, like all that stuff is like I feel like you don't think that's it when you're a little kid. You're like, oh, there must be some trick. There must be something that these guys are doing to like. It can't just be as easy as making a song every week, putting out a YouTube video every week, making a TikTok every week. Like, it can't be that easy. There's got to be something. And so you go through this phase of trying to look for the something, where you're like
Yeah.
trying to look for the hack, the little way that someone else is doing it so that you can do that way. But like, eventually you realize that there's no hack, and that like the only way to get where you want to go is just take a step forward every single day. And like,
Facts.
you it's almost like when you first come to that realization, it's kind of like a bummer because you're like, oh man, like I like it's almost like obvious, but it's like you thought that there was something else, but then on the other side it's like the most liberating thing, because it's like you like believe that you can do anything that you set your mind to, as long as you just keep taking the steps every day, like.
Yeah.
And when you get to that sort of belief in yourself, it becomes like so powerful. And like, it's just like, it sounds like so cliche as it's coming out of my mouth, but it's like, that's like that's the secret sauce, is just like doing it every day and like never stopping, because as
Yeah.
long as you're moving forward, even if it's like a little like an inch every day, you're going to eventually get to the point where you have 2000 podcasts, or you have 8 albums, one has a Grammy, but you
Yeah.
can't just like get there in one swoop of like massive action. You have to like spread that massive action consistently over years and decades, and that's how you get there. But like, when we're younger, like, we are always searching for this like trick, to speed it up.
Bro, and even I feel like with social media, it's like, why won't I go viral? Like, why won't it take off? Or like everyone's looking for like a get rich quick scheme or like overnight success or whatever. And like that's never the case. Like
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite stories of success is Sam Walton,
Yeah.
because he how old was he when you know more about him? How old was he when he started Walmart? Like I think
I'd
he
say
was
like
like,
in his 30s or 40s,
yeah.
something like that.
So, and same with I've been seeing this thing go around about the show Squid Game, the
Oh
creator of
yeah.
the show. Like he wrote the screenplay back in like 2009 or something. And here we are in 2021 and it just came out and it's a smash hit, and he had to like sell his laptop to get money to, whatever, keep going.
Yeah.
And there are, of course, the extreme cases where someone just fucking goes viral and blows up or whatever, but you can't expect that to happen. Like, as soon as you are expecting that, when it doesn't happen, you're going to get discouraged and then you're
Yeah.
going to stop and then you're going
Uh-huh.
to fail,
Yeah.
like as soon as you stop, like, of course, you're not going to continue to grow if you're not making new songs or new TikToks or whatever it is that you're trying to grow.
Yeah, dude. Expectations and like your mindset, your personal mindset going into things will help you or hinder you like so much. Uh like if you like want to start skateboarding, and you're like I want to, like, the second day you're on the board, you want to try to kickflip a 16 stair, and you try it and you fail miserably, and you're like, oh, I knew I could never become a skateboarder. It's like, no, like, you misread that situation completely wrong. Like, obviously you're going to fail at that, because no one can just kickflip a 16 stair the second day that they ever step foot on a board. But we
Yeah.
we do that with so many other things in our lives. Like, oh, I just started making TikToks last week, and why am I not at 1 million followers? It's like, duh, like, you're not going to. Like, there's a
Yeah.
natural process to literally everything. Like, you can't just fast track your way to the thing, but like, the real truth is that you can get to wherever you want to go. You just have to follow like the natural way that it happens, like, you ride a skateboard for a few months, get comfortable, then you land your kickflip, then you land your tray flip, then you get more confidence to do the stairs. You eventually, and like, if you're really good, you can work up to kickflipping a 16 stair in probably a year or something, if you like really set your mind to it, and like, so you can do a
Yeah.
lot if you actually like try and have the right mindset that like, I know that this isn't going to go perfectly smooth right away, but I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because I see the long term vision of where I'm going, and expect to make mistakes.
It's crazy how much skateboarding has taught us.
I know. I'm so thankful for it.
Like these lessons, like they apply into so many different aspects of your life. Of like, like learning how to skateboard is hard and it hurts and it's embarrassing to go to the skate park and to be pushing Mongo and to have someone call you out, and or to go to the skate park and everyone is busting tray flips and you're learning how to ollie or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to start a business, you're going to be that kid learning how to ollie, and there's going to be those companies that have been popping trays all
Yeah.
day.
Dude. And it's like, again, going back to your mindset, like you need to have the correct mindset when you're doing anything, because like you need to have the mindset of being willing to learn and learn from the mistakes that you're experiencing.
Hmm.
Like there is some truth to like the Mongo thing. Like kids will get upset when they get called out for pushing Mongo at the skate park, but it's like you would be better off if you didn't push Mongo. Like there's a reason
Yeah.
why people are like pointing that out to you. But if you don't like learn, like if you don't, if every time someone gives you feedback you're like, screw you, it's like at the gym people will get upset when other people approach them to correct their form, but it's like, why, why are you so in your ego that like you want to do it the bad way? Like let people
Yeah.
help you, like let people correct you. You should be grateful that people are coming out of their way to show you the right path. Like if you're getting upset, then okay, fine, go keep making mistakes and you'll learn eventually, but like you have to be open to hearing feedback.
Dude, and I think that's such an important lesson of like, if you want to get somewhere, like you have to accept that you're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You have to accept that you need help to get
And that you
there.
don't know it all.
That I think being a know-it-all is like the worst thing that you can do, like, because, and on the contrary, like being a student to life. I love that concept of just like being a student and putting yourself in a room where you're not the smartest person in the room, or like you're not the best skater, because if you're skating with a bunch of friends where you're the best skater, your friends are going to get a lot of value out of it, but you're not necessarily going to grow as much as you could if you were the worst skater in the group and people were able to show you and teach you the tricks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Well, I
get
think that this is a lit podcast. What are you going to say?
I was gonna say, guess how old Sam Walton was when he opened his first Walmart, because I now have it verified.
I I remember hearing maybe like 50.
I guess too high, but 44.
Wow. 44.
44.
And what was he doing before he started Walmart?
So
You know?
he kind of did it a really good way that like a lot of people don't have the patience to do. But he, instead of like, because like a lot of people these days, and like I'm sure that we're guilty of this too, it's like, I want to start XYZ, I want to start this business, but like, and then we just go right to starting it with like zero knowledge on how to do it. um he never was like, I'm gonna build the biggest like like supermarket, like superstore ever. He just got into a franchise when he was younger, uh it was called Ben Franklin Stores in Bentonville, Arkansas. Like the store was called Ben Franklin, and it was a like a franchise. And so he opened up his own franchise of that, you know. And then he just like kind
Mm.
of grew it and grew it until eventually he was like, I'm just gonna start my own thing.
Dude, it's so cool. Like you don't know where one thing is gonna lead you.
Yeah.
Like someone may be like, oh, I hate working my grocery store job, but who knows what like Instacart, for example. Like we were doing Instacart for a while, and even though like at times it's like, oh, I'm wasting my time, like I could be doing something else with my time than delivering groceries to some old lady. But in hindsight, it's like, one, I feel like I learned a ton from just listening to podcasts all day.
Yeah.
But two, it's like now we're building this an app, like a software, and we were able to experience the pros and the cons of Instacart's application, and like the things that bugged us and the things that we liked, and we can take that into what we do.
Yeah.
And even like with our podcast, like I feel like part of what pushed me to take conversations with humans more seriously is how beneficial uh Joe Rogan or the Broken Records podcast or the Dissect podcast, how beneficial those were for me when I was uh Instacarting around. Like that was like, it made it all worth it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like I want to be able to like give that to other people out there who, maybe it's like a 17-year-old kid in high school who wants to start a business, but maybe doesn't know that is possible,
Yeah.
or wants to go move out to New York, but the world is saying you can't move to New York. You got to go to college. You got to get a regular job. You got to do this. You got to do that. But I don't know. Life is interesting. Everybody's different, and there's like an infinite number of paths that you can go down.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to go down it, and you have to choose. You can't. I mean, I guess there are certain paths that choose you. Like I feel like music kind of chose me. I like got started in music like I when I was
Was
like
it?
3 years
Yeah. It
old.
wasn't even like your choice.
And yeah, like even like taking violin lessons growing up, I didn't like them most of the time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go, and there were times where it was like pulling teeth with me, where I'd be like crying in the car and my mom would be like, you have to go. And now I've kind of found my own lane in music, and I'm like, you know, uh getting the dust off the violin, and like I'm making it my own, but I wouldn't be able to do this if it weren't for like everything before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got any concluding thoughts on this baby?
Um.
I think we should post this one on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
We need to get the conversations with YouTube channel popping,
Yeah.
because I want people to be able to comment and like engage with us. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing I don't like about Spotify,
Yeah,
is that
that's
people
true.
can't really engage. But I think that the podcast is going to get really cool once we get a lot of that community involved.
Yeah, I'll say some concluding thoughts on the Instacart era for me, because like
Hey,
it was so for me it was like such a learning experience for me. Like I learned so much about myself throughout all of that, because it was like at the beginning, which I'm sure that you can um, relate to. It was like such an ego hit. Like we went from like growing our team, going to Colombia, all this stuff. Like it felt like everything was ramping up, and then it was just like, oh, but you gotta go deliver these groceries for this old lady.
$10 to go pick up some
Yeah,
tampons.
yeah, and it was just such like a humbling experience. Like, and but it was also such a growth oriented experience for me, because like uh, I feel like I don't know. It was like I was scared to do Instacart for the first little bit. I don't know why. Like, and I don't even know where that.
Same. Yeah,
It
I
was.
was
It
too.
was like I was like shaking as I was delivering it to the first person's house, or like I was like really like on edge. Like, are they going to be upset at me? You know, all this stuff, and like it. But what it taught me, a few different things. It taught me like really good customer service, like because like that was kind of like the a lot of people would get upset if you're like it's like a really touchy thing to buy for some other people is like their food, what they're eating, you know. And so obviously people are going to be upset at you if you're like messing something up. And so like you learn how to handle like things that people are saying, you know. And like I
Yeah.
always tried to be the best that I could be at it, be as professional as possible, because I was like I almost I saw it as like a almost a continuation of like Temple Mill for me. Like I was like I learned how to have good customer service with clients. Now I'm going to do it with these customers, and like I didn't want to backpedal anymore, and so I tried to be as professional as I could and like be on time with everything, and like it was just like, and it also taught me that I had to ask for help, like in stores, like because there'd be something that I can't find, and I'm like trying to find it myself, and I'm like circling around the store 3 times, and I'm getting upset, and like I'm like about to just quit the whole app and everything, and then I'm like, I just gotta ask someone, you know, and so it's just like, excuse me, do you know where this is at? And they're like, oh yeah, it's right here, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
you realize that like these people in the store, these everyday people that like you pass by, like if you're just normally in a store and going out like once a week, you never like really see these people. Like you're just like they're there, they're working, whatever. But like when you're there every single day, you get to know them as people, and like you learn their names, and like you learn their stories. Like I have like multiple different clerks at like the Smiths in Saratoga that like know me and my journey, and I know theirs, and I know like where they grew up, and like why they're even working at Smiths. Like one of the ladies, like because like I don't know, it's just like you have all these assumptions about who these people are, but then like when you get to know them, it's like so different. Like this one lady, she's like in her late 50s, early 60s, and like I asked her like, so like when did you start working at Smiths? And she was like, oh, it started like when I was like 22 years old. My husband got laid off, and we needed to get a part-time job, and I started working at Smiths, and here we are. And I was
Wow.
like, what? Like it was just like started out for her as just like she needed some part-time work, and now she's like 40, or she's like 60 years old, and like it's not a judgment call, like she loves what she's doing and all that stuff, but it was just like so
Yeah.
crazy, like that I would have never guessed that that was her story, and like uh and it just overall it just really taught me to like see these people as people, and not just like people that are there to like do my work and check me out and whatever, you know, which that's how I was when I first started doing Instacart. I was just so like, hurry up, I need to go deliver this, you know, like it was just like I saw them as like cogs in the wheel, as I'm sure like a lot of the public does, you know, but like I saw them as like individuals, and the you know, and like again, what I was saying along like earlier in this podcast of like you see different sides of things when you're there longer. Like there's been like a few different instances where like uh I go into a store, and like one of the clerks is really like in a bad mood, and this is like the first time that I'm seeing them, and so I'm like, oh, she's just a salty person, you know, or something like that. Like you just judge them on the face, surface level, you know, like she just must be a really angry person, you know. But then like I started coming back and back, and she turned out to be like one of the happiest people ever. And you realize that like she was probably just having a bad day, you know.
Mm.
But there's like so many people that do that. They go into like a Target in AF or something, and like they see someone that's like upset, and it's like that person needs to lighten up. It's like you don't understand that they're usually a happy person. You just caught them at a bad time, you know.
And you
It's
don't know
like
what they're going
yeah, you
through.
don't know what they're going through, but it's like yeah, you never like seem to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, but like
Yeah.
that's really how it is. But it just like overall it just taught me to really like drop my ego, and like
Yeah.
sometimes you got to do Instacart to pay your bills. It's just how it happens in life. But it's not always going to be like that. But when the time comes, you just got to man up and do it, you know.
Bro, it's crazy how much of a mental game Instacart was because especially when we started doing it, it was like at the start of the pandemic. And the news is saying, stay inside of your house. Don't
Yeah,
go outside.
I
It's
know.
fucking World War Z out
We
there.
went directly into the flames.
We went right into the flames. We're like, fuck it. I'm not even gonna wear a mask.
Yeah, I know.
But like for me, it was like kind of personal boot camp, like
Mhm.
accountability boot camp, because it's like, you could sleep in until 1 p.m. if you want to, and then go out and do one order, or you could do, you know, 10 orders in one day, or like it's all up to you. Like there's no one that's saying, hey, you got to be here at
Yeah.
8:15
Yep.
sharp,
Hmm.
or hey, you got to make $100 today. Don't stop until you make $100. And like that was hard for me for a while, of just like being able to like make myself do that, especially like when you don't want to do it. And it's like the last thing that I want to do is go out and Instacart. And with that mentality, it felt like a chore.
Yeah.
But then once I started to kind of see the benefits and the positive of it, it was like, wow, this is like a freaking blessing.
I know.
Like Instacart was a lifesaver for us, and it's clutch.
Yeah. It
And
was.
now look where we are now.
Hey.
Still broke. Independent creators.
Hey.
Woo! Woo, sheesh. Well, I think this is a good point to wrap it up on.
Yeah.
If you guys like this episode, support your boys.
Support you
We
boys.
got a TikTok at Convos with Humans. We need to put more TikToks out. I think there's only like 2 or 3 on there. And then also YouTube would be dope, but you know what to do. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram. Is the Instagram at Convos with Humans, or is it Convos W Humans?
It's Convos with Humans, I think.
Okay. I think the TikTok is at Convos W Humans, because it limited how long your handle can be. But, and also, Truman, plug your TikTok.
My TikTok is just at Truman Mylan.
The TikTok I'm a plug is at Apple Shift Q. But you could also at Mike's Matrix on Instagram and TikTok. All right,
Here we
y'all.
go.
Here we go. Getting back in the flow. You already know. Oh, wait. We got some sounds. Should we drop a quick flow? Give me a random sound.
Give it to him.
Hey. Random sound. Feeling like a dog at the pound. And I know that you're not around because you're dumb. Hey, got a thumb. Got 2 of them. Coming. We running it. We having fun. We doing it. Don't got a gun. So here is some words of wisdom. In the last, if you want the words of wisdom, you can listen to the podcast. Hey,
Dude, yeah, we need to add some of our own sounds, like that, that TikTok you sent me of like that Drake song, but they added a ton of sound effects.
Like all of like the TikTok meme sounds.
Yeah.
Gen Z humor is next level.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, catch y'all on the flip flop.
Catch you on the flip flop.